It's Brandon Sobotka, and you're watching Noble Nonconformity TV. Welcome and thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate you. And as you already know, I'm here to help you position your ambition and build a boundless brand for the modern marketplace. Today, we're going to talk about arguably the most important part of a successful brand building strategy. So I'm sure you're wondering what I'm speaking of. What is the successful brand building strategy I'm talking of? Well, I'll give you a second to think if you haven't thought of it already. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. 3, 2, 1. I'm talking about positioning. Now, I'm sure you've heard probably plenty of definitions of what positioning is, and there's a variety of ways to do it. However, this is how I kind of do it in layman's terms, or this is how I define it in layman's terms, is this is you. And when I say you, I'm speaking of you as a personal brand or you as an organization. Okay, so this is you confidently, keyword there, staking a claim to your place in the marketplace. So remember that. But more importantly, you are staking a claim to your audience's hearts. So you want to get in here and you want to get in here, their minds, all right? So you are the person that they think of when they need your thing, right? When they need the solution that you have, and they think of you because your brand stands for something. Your brand rejects conformity, and time after time, your brand rises above the fray. And all the times they've experienced you, you just seem to do it either different or better, or in more depth, or something else that is uniquely opposite. It doesn't have to necessarily be opposite of your competitors, right? So basically what I'm saying is defining a clear position allows you to control how the market perceives you, and it better positions your products and services to be more convincing and attractive than the other options out there, than your competitors, okay? And many experts believe that positioning is the single largest influence on the buying decision. So a lot of experts are saying basically that positioning is the final decision between do I buy or do I not. So I think you get that it's pretty important, right? And we've seen this time in and time out in our own businesses, when it comes to attracting partners, when it comes to getting clients. We've even seen it in our client results. I mean, clients who have worked with us who were struggling when they met us and were battling and scratching and clawing in that sea of sameness, or that Red Sea of sameness out there in the marketplace. Prior to going through our positioning principles, they were experiencing that. But then once they went through it, well, now they're experiencing the benefits of a clear market position. So what do I mean by that? Well, put simply, they are getting or experiencing enthusiastic engagement from their audience, from their customers. And as that continues to build momentum, they have experienced an intense appeal from now new and even hard to reach potential partners, clients, etc. So if you've listened to me for a while, or if you've worked with me, or you've seen me somewhere, you've probably heard me say that strategy is truly important. But strategy without positioning doesn't work well. Is it possible? Yes, because anytime you do strategy, you can make things happen. But positioning is a big key. So that being said, we still get a lot of questions of, if positioning is so important and entrepreneurs know that, then why is it so hard to still stand out? Why am I struggling to grow even an average client engagement? Why is getting paid a premium so difficult? And so on and so on and so forth. Well, these are great questions. And there's three obstacles or struggles or reasons behind um, the I don't want to say failure, but the lack of a good position. Um, Number one is you haven't done the soul searching, right? It takes a lot of true soul searching. And when I say soul searching from a personal brand, it's you doing some deep introspection, getting in here, saying, what is it that you really, really, truly want, right? And if this is an organization, it's getting the leadership team together and putting the truths on the table. Sometimes those are hard truths that we have to look at, but you have to take that time and put the attention to truly understand how you create unique value for your customers. Okay. Um, and as I was, digging into this stuff, there's a study, a recent study that says U.S. companies that stand for something bigger than what they sell and tune in to consumer beliefs connect on a deeper level. That is why doing that soul searching is so important. If you can dig in here and understand what you really truly believe at depth, then you are more likely to be able to put out a nice message that then resonates at a deeper level with the audience. That's what we're all looking for. That's how brands are started and grown. So number one is you're not taking that time to do that true soul searching. Number two is there are trade-offs and you're not doing those either, right? So with positioning comes trade-offs, meaning you're either modern or you're traditional, you're strategic or you're tactical, right? And so on and so on and so forth. It could be several trade-offs that you have to make in order for you to stand out. But that being said, what I'm basically saying is you cannot be all things to all people. All too often you hear it in marketing. If you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. So what I'm saying is focus is the key here. Okay. So number two is you have to make those tough decisions, make those trade-offs so that you can really streamline and focus your positioning strategy. Three is failing to articulate. So maybe you've already done the soul searching. Maybe you've made the trade-offs and you think you have a great positioning strategy. Maybe you even do, but you're failing to articulate that strategy, right? Or maybe you're even articulating it at a basic level, but hint, hint, you're not being different. Okay, so you have to be different when it comes to articulating your positioning strategy. At minimum, and we'll talk about this in a second, you have to be hitting the typical points of parity. So another study I stumbled upon in doing this is nearly 60% of high growth brands are focused on defining what sets them apart as their top marketing priority. You hear that? A large percentage of the best brands out there right now are focused on defining what sets them apart as their top number one marketing strategy. So remember that is key. So if you're struggling, if you're a leader, a consultant, a coach, entrepreneur, speaker, trainer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you are struggling with this, odds are is that you just haven't moved past those typical expected points of parity, like I just mentioned, and therefore you are competing on price. What does that mean? That means you're a commodity, and fighting that commodity battle is a losing battle. So if this sounds like you're struggling with some of these, you'll be excited to watch the rest of this video because you can win the fight before the battle even begins. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now by building a solid positioning foundation you can use today to help you separate from the noise, clear the clutter that's out there, or clear the clutter that's within your brand, and define a distinct competitive advantage, all without conforming or becoming just another cookie cutter or copycat company that like so many are doing right now. So if that sounds good, we're going to switch over so I can show you the prosperous positioning principles framework. What that is it's the 5 keys to getting noticed by qualified customers without being another Me Too lookalike company. So let's run through them, and then I'll come back and break them down further, okay? All right, so what you're looking at here is what I call the prosperous positioning principles framework. It's the 5 keys to getting noticed by qualified customers without being another Me Too lookalike company. And so this is the framework that I walk through with all of our clients. No matter if you're big, you're small, somewhere in between, this is what we do to help you get a clear and different brand positioning. So let's jump right in. And the 5 steps, or 5 keys, 5 pillars, whatever you want to call them, are right here in no particular order. Just as long as you get all 5 in place, that's what matters. And really taking the time to think about each one of these. And so let's just go ahead and start from the top and work our way down. First is why. You've probably heard this a lot. It's almost cliche these days. Simon Sinek built a business on it, built around start with why. And why just means to form a purpose. To get a little bit deeper into what does form a purpose mean? Well, it means to promote your unique worldview. What is your unique, brand perspective, your unique outlook on life, or hope for the future, or the change you want to see in the world. Whatever it is, this purpose is the thing that drives everything that your brand does. All right. So that is one piece, the why, form a purpose. Next is who. When I'm talking about who, I'm specifically speaking about the audience. And what I'm asking is really, is it fitting and relevant? Is what you are doing fitting and relevant? Excuse me. Because if you're not relevant, you do not have a business these days. What I mean is that you have to have the key points of parity covered first, right? We talked about that. I always focus on getting clear with the things that absolutely need to serve your audience's wants and needs in that particular niche. And then we work towards the next step, which is the how and being fresh and different. So what I'm talking about here is really focused around being relevant to a specific audience, okay? Next is the how. How, I just mentioned that, is are you fresh and different? Blending in doesn't get you noticed. I think we've all learned that, or we all understand that. And the idea is just like how can I be different? And that's something we work through when you work with me at some point in time. If you go through any of our systems, we definitely talk about differentiation. But the key here is to attract a strong following, you have to be different, right? This is what kind of pulls people's attention away from the usual, right? Away from the status quo, is that you're different. Well, that difference starts to create curiosity, and people want to know more. And then when you deliver value, now they're like, whoa. And if it's different and better, now you get more attention. And that tension, as we talked about earlier, we call it enthusiastic engagement. And that enthusiastic engagement then turns into like an intense appeal, and so on and so forth. Those people become customers, and you wow them, and then they become consistent customers who buy over and over and over, and raving fans, and the pattern, right? So how are you fresh and different? Next is the what. What is you all about focus? Are you focused on a need or a niche? Focus requires those trade-offs that we talk about, or Some people call it sacrifice, some type of a sacrifice. You have to let go of something in order to do and be very specific. And the reason that we do that is so that you're not seen as a generalist, but create a very strong appeal because you are a specialist. And a specialist is focused on being narrow and deep, right? If you have a special expertise that solves a specific problem, then to an overall highly desired end result, then you are a specialist. And that's what we want to get to, okay? Next is, last but not least, is where and when. Where and when is really the places and times that your brand does its thing, right? And I call that forging your future. If you've seen any of our taglines, I specifically talk about forging your future, because once you have all these things in place, really standing out takes this where and when, right? From a strategic perspective. Every touch point matters. You probably heard me say that. And that's what I like to point out, is the where is a touch point, and the when are you going to interact at that touch point. So I think you get it. Those are the 5 steps. Getting precise on your positioning is the foundation of a strong brand building strategy that we mentioned earlier. However, an important thing you have to understand is that it's only a piece of scaling a standout, sustainable brand. What you're looking at here, as I morph over to this, is positioning lies in this piece of the model that we work people through. And as you can see, there's several more steps in order to grow that brand that I'm talking about, right? It become this radically recognized, revenue producing, profitable brand, right? That's the brand that stands out. That's the brand that sustains time. And this is what I call the Noble Nonconformity Code framework. We use it to help coaches and consultants and several other the entrepreneurial business models that we talked about simply scale their brand without sacrificing profits or spending 3 to 5 years or more trying to figure it all out or piece it all together. So if you want to get explicitly, excitedly, and inspiringly clear on the one thing that you should be doing right now to build a radically recognized, revenue producing brand, right? That's what we want. I think that's why you're here. Then I recommend checking out the link below. It's for a free training that will walk you through the steps that you should be doing right now to get more clients and increase your monthly revenue. With that said, take a look, think about it, absorb the information, apply it. I hope that it helps you create that clear and different brand that you're looking for, that clear and different positioning that will help you stand out and excel in your marketplace. And until next time, I'm out. Deuces.